Hello, welcome or welcome back. I'm going to be reviewing another book. This time it is going to be O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker. I'm in a different spot because I've hurt my ankle from running, so sitting cross-legged on the floor does not feel achievable to me today. So I'm on the sofa. Pippi is snoring again, she's next to me. Let me see if I can get her where she is. Say hi, Pippi. Big stretch. Yes. So she's going to be sat next to me, so she'll definitely be snoring. Apologies about that, as long as she's comfy. Good girl. Yeah, so I will review O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker. It's the only book that Elspeth Barker has written, more on another book that I'm reading, which are her essays and things like that have been published by her daughter. Again, this is another book that Daniel's bought me. It was mentioned as one of Maggie O'Farrell's favourite books, which is why he also bought it alongside Hamnet for me for my birthday this year. And I read both of them. I read Hamnet and then I read O Caledonia immediately after. I really enjoyed reading this book. The way that she writes is so similar to my thought process. I've never read a book where that's been so similar to how I think and feel about things. There's quite a lot of almost pessimism, melancholy within what she writes, but also so much is involved with nature. Just looking at things a certain way is really hard to describe. I felt really connected to the words on the page with this book, more so than a lot of other books that I've ever read, to be honest. I'll read a little bit again of the blurb like I did in the last video, just to give you an idea of what it's about. I hadn't heard of this book. It's very difficult to pinpoint as a genre. It's fiction, but it's not a particular, it doesn't just slot into a specific category. It's a bit of a mix, which I'll get into as well. The blurb: Vera was painting the pony's hooves gold in the dining room. Janet said this was bad for him. Poison would seep into his bloodstream. At the bottom of a great stone staircase, dressed in her mother's black lace evening dress, twisted in murderous death, lies Janet. So end the 16 years of Janet's short life. A life spent in a draughty Scottish castle where roses will not grow and a jackdaw decides to live in the doll's house. This also has an introduction by Maggie O'Farrell, this book that I've got, which is a Winsor & Newton Essentials book. I really like the front cover of this one. Just the fact that it's set in a drafty Scottish castle. What more could you ask for, really? That sets the scene immediately. In terms of 3 words to describe this book, it's kind of about life and death and how short life can be, things that you find important and how different everyone's experience of life is. It's very eclectic, not just one genre, it's really hard to pinpoint, and it's explorative in terms of descriptions of things, like I mentioned, nature. The theme that I would say that runs along it, it's like a coming of age novel, but it's very different. It's very unique. It conveyed a lot of, like I say, my own kind of thought processes, inner struggles as well, growing up as a girl, feeling like you don't fit in. Am I not doing this properly? Am I weird? Questions that you ask yourself growing up, especially if you feel like a bit of an outsider or a misfit. There are a lot of songs, poems, children's nursery rhymes. They're kind of cited throughout. Some of them I'd not heard of. I definitely googled a lot of things just to have a look at them and look further into what they are, where they originate from. Also just the amount that are similar. So obviously this is based in Scotland, but I was surprised at how many things that she did cite that I had heard of before. Other pieces of literature, so there's works by Edgar Allan Poe, Edward Lear, a book that I've read previously which is mentioned within O Caledonia, Tercy's Hiroshima, which I found a really interesting account of what happened. Absolutely tragic, how descriptive it was. That was really interesting. Just things that pinpointed parts in my life, what I've read, what I've found to be poignant, I suppose. It's not a long book. I think it's just over 200 pages. It took me 4 days to read, same amount of time as Hamnet. I did read this one a little bit slower to try and take it in. I'm going to read a little extract just to show how descriptive it is, connected with nature, how atmospheric it is, just to kind of set the scene. This isn't like far into the book at all, nothing that gives anything away here. This is on page 43. This is like a description of Auchnasaugh, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, a place in Scotland. Up the windswept road they went, through bare moorland where sheep rose suddenly from the heather and scudded off, and only a few stunted rowan trees clung to the steep slope. The mist left cobwebs clinging moist and delicate on the heather, and strands of wool flickered about the thistles. If they looked back, they could see the village, unfriendly with its low grey houses, one shop, the church, and the Thistle Inn, packed in a graceless huddle down the hill. Beyond it, the land rose again in barren pastures outlined by dry stone walls, until pasture gave way to empty moors. But for Janet, it was the view ahead which held all the enchantment she had ever yearned for. In the distance, the hills lapped against each other to the far limits of the visible world. Nearer, the great forest climbed to meet the moor, ancient rust-trunked pine and delicate silver birch, swaying and tossing over grass so green and fine that only harebell and wood anemone could grow there without seeming crude, even blasphemous. Yeah. I love anything that describes nature, particularly moors. You get that immediate kind of image to mind. This time of year it's perfect for reading and being inside and cozy, and it's a cooler day outside. That's always really nice. Again, similar to Hamnet, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars on my review. That's my little front cover illustration as well. It was just so different from anything else that I've ever read before. It's a shame that she hasn't written anything else. She passed away, unfortunately. This book was published when she was 51 years of age, so an amazing feat, and I suppose that makes it even more special. She was married to the poet George Barker. I can't say I've read any of his poetry, but it's certainly something I will be delving into. As I mentioned earlier, it's something that I'm currently reading, which are collected essays from Elspeth Barker. It has a prologue by her daughter, Raphaela Barker. That is Notes from the Henhouse. I'm not even halfway through yet. Some things are very much repeated from O Caledonia, so I'd recommend giving it a little bit of time, a couple of books between reading O Caledonia and reading this if you're going to read both. But again, it's that the thought process and the way that she writes is really unique. There's a kind of dreary outlook on life, but also a dark humour, which I really like. I'm really enjoying that at the moment. The reason for the name, the notes from the Henhouse. Her family, either when she was younger and also towards the end of her life, and even her daughter, they've all kind of kept a crazy amount of different animals and pets. That kind of encompasses that. That was just a quick overview of O Caledonia. I'm not doing it justice, I don't think. It speaks for itself with that extract that I read, I hope. I've never read anything like it. It's a great one to read at any time. I always try and find different books to read, so if I'm going through a phase of reading historical fiction, that's one of my favourite genres. If I'm reading like fantasy, anything like that, you need a bit of a break, and this book would be a great in-between book. I definitely recommend it. So that is my review of O Caledonia. If you've read it, pop in the comments. If you have any other recommendations, anything like that, pop that down below. Let me know what you're currently reading. I do have a huge list of TBRs to be reads at the moment, but I'm always looking for others to read. Again, I've mentioned this in the last video, but I use my book journal to kind of format this video. This is by Sarah's Book Club. You can follow me on Goodreads. I'll leave my Goodreads linked below. I do the reading challenge, so I've already beat what I wanted for this year. I had a target of 25 books and I've read 28 so far, so I'll see what we end on this year. I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to try and post them about once a week where possible, see how we got on. Have a good week. I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.